What is up? Welcome back to Truth and Transparency. Turtleboy hires Jeffery PYLE to deal with his pile of, well, we're going to talk about it. Again, welcome in Truth and Transparency. Appreciate you being here, moderators, members, subscribers, lurkers. Just a quick recap here. Aiden Carney is trying to get his criminal case dismissed with an alleged mega motion that he filed through Mark Betterow. Mark Betterow is one of two attorneys that Aiden Carney has in his criminal case, which is all the witness, picketing of a witness, intimidation of a witness, conspiracy to commit witness intimidation. Yeah. We all know about that. He was arraigned in October of 2023. But let's talk about some background here. Aiden has never told you why he truly was not covering the Karen Read case immediately. Well, Aiden had a lot of problems to deal with. Specifically, I'm going to remind everybody of this court case with Ryan Waters. Okay. And specifically, I'm going to show you to a pattern of history here with Aiden Carney. So Ryan Waters sued him because basically the same thing that happened to the Commonwealth witnesses happened to this dude. Aiden Carney was writing a story. Ryan Waters and his girlfriend, fiance, they were part of this story. Now, right here, because I never received a fundamental protection and the lower courts never considered my best legal arguments, I should get a fair opportunity to argue this case with unintimidated witnesses and unintimidated representation. Like, this is a pattern right here. So Ryan Waters filed a lawsuit against Aiden Carney for defamation in 2018 in the Massachusetts Superior Court. Aiden Carney's consistent harassment after court filings and before court hearings made it too dangerous for me to present evidence or name witnesses, and I lost the ability to make strong written and oral arguments. The Superior Court dismissed the case in Kearney's favor, but it was reversed in part by the Massachusetts Appeals Court. So I filed a verified complaint. Look at these dates. October 26, 2022. You know, we had stuff in, this all began with Ryan Waters again in 2018. It carried on to 2021. And then, as you can see here, it goes into 2022. And Aiden had his hands full. Okay. Now, you know that person I talk about? Christina Yamaguchi. Okay. Well, she's part of this. Okay. She's part of this. So that was one of his main witnesses. Aiden Carney impaired my ability to argue on November 12, 2020 by stating the following threat on his YouTube channel that was watchable and promoted on Facebook. He says all this shit, okay? He's absolutely out of his mind, by the way. So Jeffery PYLE, what are you getting yourself into? I'm here to tell you, okay? On December 1st, 2020, I filed a motion for an injunction in the U.S. District Court noting that Aiden Carney was making it too dangerous to have witnesses in the federal case and that he was intentionally hindering my ability to litigate by triggering the adjustment disorder that his harassment has caused him. Aiden Carney did not oppose this injunction. The court did not deny the injunction until it was sua sponte. Like, we can get into all of that. But here is the breakdown of this. On November 19, 2021, just a couple months before John was found dead on the lawn, on the same day, Aiden Carney was defaulted for not filing an appellate brief. Aiden Carney created, and this is what I've showed you guys, he created a fake Facebook account in my name, in this guy Ryan Waters' name, and used the account to send heinous threats directed at his own children. Okay. There's a pattern of behavior. He did the same thing with Meredith O'Neill when he created the State Street Mayor account. Okay. He creates accounts, fake accounts, and goes after people. Okay. Now, this account is probably the worst I've ever seen because he created this fake account to literally use his kids as bait and say that he's Ryan Waters in this account. He says his name's Ryan Waters and takes his kids' pictures and says disgusting things. Unbelievable. After he did this, he conspired with 2 co-conspirators to frame me for sending the threats. Okay. I reported the fake threats and fake profile to Facebook, and the threats and profile were quickly taken down. I sent Facebook lawyers screenshots of the crime and I asked them to investigate. So he goes on about what he's asking Facebook to do. Okay. Now, you guys know how I play that that live of Aiden Carney when he's in the minivan. Okay, I'm gonna play it again. And he's saying all this crazy ass shit. Chrissy, what'd you think was gonna happen, Chrissy? Do you know who the fuck you're fucking with, Chrissy? Okay. Ready? So in January of 2022, the same month that John O'Keefe was found dead on the lawn. Okay. This is why Aiden Carney wasn't covering the Karen Reed case, because Aiden Carney was being a ratchet and fucking fabricating and manipulating evidence. But in January of 2022, so after he does what he does in November of 2021, a co-conspirator, hear her name, the mod chat, right side of the chat that I'm going to show you guys, Christina Yakimowski, gave me evidence proving that Aiden Carney orchestrated the conspiracy using a Facebook group chat. Aiden Carney threatened and extorted her on January 15th, 2022. I'm like, this right here. She filled out an affidavit, okay? The affidavit contained multiple threats and even extortion by Carney directed at Christina Yakimowski. In quotes, I hope she is scared because she should be. Because did you forget who the fuck I am and what the fuck I could do? Did you, hun? Did you? Are you shitting your pants yet? Because you should be. What on earth would make you think? Because you knew I was going to find out when the screenshots came out and they're from your perspective, meaning who's the side in the blue took the screenshots. Okay. The other people that I have gone to war with, they have nothing to lose. You have a lot to lose. You own a business. You live in a $600,000 house in Oxbridge. You have a fiance who does not know that we talk. He is not going to like to see the messages. I am going to still give you a chance to get out of this. You can call me whenever you want. If you don't, February 17th, I will be there at your court date. Exhibit A contains screenshots from a Facebook group called Blog That from November 19th, 2021, where Aiden Carney, as Clarence, in the group chat directed Christina Yakimowski, messages in blue, to publicly direct his attention to the threats so that it would look like he found them innocently. Okay. Exhibit B contained the screenshots from the same Facebook conspiracy group as Exhibit A, but coming from the Kearney's perspective. Kearney used the screenshots to publicly prove that Christina Yakimowski conspired to use his blog to intimidate a witness in a different court case. Why this part is important is because he was trying to claim to the police, and all of you guys out there, when he wants to say, you guys I've already addressed this. I've already addressed this. I was hacked. I was fucking hacked. The fuck you were, Aiden. The fuck you were. Cosgrove is going to wipe your fucking ass. Okay, he's going to whoop whoop. And that's going to come before your little fucking civil case. That's why we're starting here. He is going to wax your motherfucking ass, boy. Aaron, boy. Give him a shake. Hot damn. The same playbook over and over and over again. That's all this man knows how to do. Same playbook. Now, so, you know, when he's driving in his minivan and he's telling everybody, like, I gave to give a victim impact speech at Hadassah's shit, Hadassah, all that bullshit that he talks about that lied his fucking ass off. Okay, is a fucking liar, just a pathological fucking liar. Okay. Now, on January 31st, 2022, again, this is why he's not following the Karen Reed case, aka the officer dead on the lawn case. He's got a lot of things going on. But on January 31st, this Ryan guy he was able to move the first district court, supplement this motion, did all these things. Okay. And he was able to do this with a police report that identified the members of the blog.chat with their real names next to their screen names. And more importantly, Aiden Carney claimed he was the only one with access to the Facebook account, Clarence Woodson Emerson. Just like he did when he was at the police station and we've seen the body cams and he's over here admitting to his aliases. Okay. He told the police, now this is what he tried to do before he knew that he was going to make a fake Ryan account. This motherfucker is so calculated that he picks up the phone and he calls the police department to notify them that he believes that he's been hacked. He does this right before he's going to create this shit with this Ryan account. Okay. This is how calculated this man is. This is how delusional and why all of this stuff. Here you go, Jeffrey. This is what you're dealing with. The House defendants, the Commonwealth witnesses, y'all need to talk to Ryan Waters. Okay. Y'all need to get yourself in all of those documents. But he told the police that he was hacked. He argued for plausible deniability. And he told the officers that he had never sent messages to anyone besides himself. The officers later found out that Aiden Carney lied to them. And that he also sent the messages to Christina Yakimowski in that blog, that group chat, and that she was leaking his messages. So everybody out there that's on that delusional side of, Aiden's already talked about this. He was hacked. I don't know why you fucking believe a word that man says, because just go get the FOIAs. Go get your own fucking paperwork. All right? But if you don't have time, I'll be happy to do your work over here. I also filed motions to impound Christina Yakimowski's identity. Okay. Just like how Meredith wanted her shit impounded. Ryan Waters tried to impound Christina Yakimowski's identity and to hold a 27B depositions, but Aiden Carney identified the witness after I filed the appeal. On March 9th, 2022, again, why Aiden Carney is not covering the Karen Reed case. He's got to do all this shit. On March 9th, 2022, the district court approved of the threats and extortion by deciding that Aiden Carney conspired to frame me for threats to harm his children. Does not change the fact action inquiry. I never said that it did, he's saying. I filed an extraordinary writ in this court on March 16th. There you go. This is going through his case. June 18th, 2022, again, threats and relevant but unpreserved facts. These facts have only been presented in the state criminal court. They are for inherent power review only. Kearney told a woman named Shanna LeBray that the November 19th, 2021 conspiracy was Christina Yakimowski's idea. The fuck? And that he was just a co-conspirator with her. Do you guys see what he's doing? I mean, this is sick. Wait till you see these messages. You guys have probably already seen them on this channel. I've shown them. But he's over here blaming Christina Yakimowski's idea and that he was just a co-conspirator with her. Hey, Karen Reed, get a nice little glimpse of what's coming. This is a nice little glimpse of what's coming. This man if the state would allow him, if the Commonwealth would allow him, he will burn Karen Reed down to the motherfucking ground and her attorneys like that. I wanted to start this episode this way to show you that I come with the receipts. I don't feel some type of way because I hate Aiden Carney. I fucking don't even know the man. Okay? He's a fucking idiot. He has been fucking with the legal system for years. When I say fucking with it, like this, he has no problem lying under oath. None whatsoever. He has no problem literally trying to get in front of his own shit that you think would just be trolling on the internet. No, he does it with the cops. Okay? Does it with the cops. Lana, is there something wrong with your throat or is it a habit to clear it? I have allergies right now, so that's why. For dog lover 04407. Now, so Kearney told a woman named Shannon LeBray that on the November 19th, 2021 conspiracy was Christina Yakimowski's idea and that he was just a co-conspirator with her. To try and prove this, Kearney sent Shannon LeBray a screenshot of the blog that group chat from his perspective during the conspiracy, proving that he has access to the account that orchestrated the conspiracy. On June 18th, 2022, again, what's happening here? Oh, wait, Karen Reed's getting indicted for murder. This is what he's doing. Aiden Kearney threatened Christina Yakimowski several times on YouTube saying, I don't know why you thought this was a smart idea, Chrissy, because you know me and you know what I do and you know I'm not gonna rest. You know that, right? Like you own a business. I am speaking at Chrissy right now because I know she's listening. I'm going to play it for you because I know she's listening. So you own a business. You have a couple kids. Look at this motherfucker. You have a couple kids or whatever and a family, and it's called Royal Thermal View. Look at this. Look at this man. Do you see this has always been his MO? And if you don't think that Alan Jackson and David Yannetti and these lawyers, I cannot wait for them to have to answer to this. Which is, did you do any research on this man? Because this is what he was dealing with while your client was being arraigned and then being indicted. Did you think I was going to make it like my mission to take all that away from you? Didn't you think I wasn't going to make it like my mission to take that all away from you? Did you think that? I'm a vindictive cunt. And I'm not going to stop. We're just beginning here. I'm not going to stop destroying your life, just destroying it. Like I am going to take everything away from you that you love. I want you to feel as low as I did when, and this is when he found out that she released evidence of the November 19th conspiracy. Factual background of this case. The Second Amendment complaint starts with claims for product design and gross negligence. For these claims, I use several facts, including but not limited to, and he just goes into his shit here. Okay. So that's how he public shaming on social media is a weapon. The targets of public shaming lose their jobs, and those not yet targeted adjust their own public and perhaps even private speech to avoid being the next national pariah. In a regime where both financial and social possibilities hinge on employment, to be rendered not just temporarily unemployed but unemployable is a fate. This is serious. Like, this is it, just he keeps repeating what he does. Let's call up that person. Let's call up where that person works. Let's call up where this person works. Now, again, go get it for yourself. Okay. This is why Aiden Carney wasn't covering the Karen Reed case. Okay. Now the question is did he say, hey, I gotta wait till this stuff dies down? Because if people look me up, this is what they're gonna see, and it's the same thing that you guys want me to go and do. Okay. But now let's move over to Aiden Carney. All him and his lawyers talk about is this motion dismiss. And I truly believe that he hired this Jeffrey dude to literally get his case that he's being sued for, like, tossed. Okay. His goal is to get this out. All right. Because this is my prediction. Aiden Carney will win if this case doesn't make it to a jury. If this case makes it to a jury, he's going to lose his ass. Okay. So you want to get a really good, strong motion, somebody that can write really, really well, somebody that knows case law, and somebody that can then litigate it. Okay. And so the person that he went out and got is somebody that is used to defending people like him, bloggers. All right. Now, I want to point out that this is right here, the memorandum of decision and order on defendant's motion to dismiss. Okay. I think it's May 27th. Turtleboy's back in the courtroom for this fucking mega motion hearing. This is not getting dismissed. Okay. I mean, and in fact, if you go back and you read this filing, this is the 86th filing here, I want to point out a couple things because it's really missing people. It's like you're not getting it, you're not grasping it. So I just want to point out that first, starting with in moving to dismiss the indictments against him, Aiden Carney raises several arguments. First, Carney is asserting that 13B, okay, the general law, criminalizes protected speech in violation of the First Amendment. And so he's listing all this. In doing so, Carney argues that 13A is unconstitutional on its face and as applied to him, and that 13B is unconstitutional as applies to him. Okay. And that second to all of these 16 indictments, he argues that the Commonwealth failed to establish probable cause to support the indictments. Okay. His best case scenario is to try to get this tossed, right? And his third is that he contends that the integrity of the grand jury proceeding was impaired. All right. And then this judge goes through this. Now, this is what you need to only care about. What Aiden Carney and his lawyers will never tell you is this portion. He fatally ignores the notion that the Commonwealth may permissibly regulate constitutionally protected speech and expressive conduct so long as it can demonstrate that the regulation is narrowly tailored to achieve a compelling government interest. You know what that means? It means exactly what it says. And what the judge says here is that it is undisputed that the Commonwealth has a compelling government interest in protecting the orderly admission of justice and in assuring that witnesses in criminal cases, proceedings, are insulated from harassing, intimidating, and threatening conduct that could deter them from testifying. That's all that matters. And on that alone, so even if shit was, hey, this is freedom of speech, nope, not right here. Not because of this. Now, the statute does not categorically prohibit picketing and parading in or near a courthouse or a witness's residence. Rather, it prohibits picketing or parading in or near one of those locations if done with the intent of interfering with, obstructing, or impeding the administration of justice, or with the intent to influence a witness. What was his intent, right? It's going to come down to what his intent was. Now, insofar as Kearney is also arguing that GLC 268-13B is unconstitutionally overbroad, that argument also fails. Okay. Whoever directly or indirectly, willfully misleads, intimidates, or harasses another person who is, witnesses, or potential witnesses at any stage of a criminal justice investigation, grand jury proceeding, trial, or other. So let me ask you guys a question here. A very serious question. What the fuck was Karen Reed's attorneys thinking? Because Yannetti knows the laws, right? Hey, you don't want to do that. Hey, like, don't do that. Don't go to their houses. That could be perceived as this, that, and the other. Okay. We recommend that you don't do that. While GLC 268-13B arguably regulates speech and expressive conduct based on its content, it too serves the compelling government interest. It too, see that? It meets the elements, a compelling government interest in shielding witnesses from threats, intimidation, and harassment. You guys, don't you think his prior, the way that he handles himself, okay, in the past, for example, that's why I read off the stuff to you when he's getting on a live and saying, Chrissy, blah, blah, talking to her. What did you think I was going to do? I'm going to fucking destroy your life. And I don't think what's his name went into it enough of what the fuck he was saying on that shit. When he's driving around in his minivan, and then he's doing lives from bars, and he's doing lives from his basement. This is exactly who this man is. What he did in the Karen Reed case is what he has done on his ratchet blog the entire time. But again, it too serves the compelling government interest in shielding witnesses from threats, intimidation, and harassment. The purpose of GLC 268-13B is to protect witnesses from being bullied or harassed, I think that's what to say, so that they do not become reluctant to testify or to give truthful evidence in investigation or investigatory or judicial proceedings. The statute is also narrowly tailored to achieve the compelling interest. The statute is limited in scope to the individuals who act or speak with the intent or with the reckless for the fact that it may impede, obstruct, delay, or otherwise interfere with a criminal proceeding. And you want to know what's going to push it there? Is his text messages, is his digital evidence. Now, that was for the first part. Now for the second part. Kearney is charged under 13A for his actions related to the rally. He contends that during the rally, he was engaged in lawful assembly, utilizing lawful speech, and did so in a traditional public forum. The court is not persuaded for two reasons. First, contrary to Kearney's contentions, the Commonwealth is permitted to regulate protected speech. So do you understand what this means? First, contrary to Kearney's contention, this means you don't know the fucking law. You don't know what you're talking about, Bradel. You don't know what you're talking about, Mark Betterow. Because unfortunately, you don't get it. You're missing another part of it. And that part is the Commonwealth is permitted to regulate protected speech and expressive conduct so long as the regulations passes strict scrutiny, as discussed in section what we just talked about. Thus, even if the statute permits him to be charged while engaging in protected speech, it does not make the statute unconstitutional as applied to him. So that goes out the window. Second, it has never been deemed an abridgment of freedom of speech or press to make a course of conduct illegal merely because the conduct was in part initiated, evidenced, or carried out by means of language, either spoken, written, or printed. With respect to the rally, it could be concluded that the purpose of Kearney's speech was to interfere with, obstruct, or impede the administration of justice, or to influence the witnesses in the Reed case. In organizing the rally, Aidan Kearney's choice, his choice of location, were the witnesses' homes, a location that has long been recognized as an individual's safe haven. How dumb can you fucking be, man? You guys, they were having their little rallies. They were having little meetups at like ballparks and shit like that, okay? They kept escalating their shit. And I say they because Aidan Kearney, if he takes that stand, oh, he's going to be saying they. Okay. This wasn't a one-man band. I don't want to be a Rolling Stone alone. Get ready for that Name That Tune. It's coming up here. First round coming up in 7 minutes. 10-10. Also, GL 26813A does not prohibit all picketing and parading. It merely prohibits such activity when done in or near a witness's residence and with specific criminal intent. So he thinks he's going to take the stand to say what his intent was. And I'm going to tell you what, Cosgrove is a veteran. Okay. But if I was Cosgrove, I would have no problem even potentially going out there and seeking somebody for specifically to handle Aidan Kearney's cross-examination. But I think that he could, I think he could handle it. Aidan Kearney lies. He's going to lie. I would be objecting to everything that Aidan Kearney wanted to testify that is ear motherfucking relevant and his direct. What does that have to do with anything? Okay. But if you know this case and his case, if you know it, you will have the material there to literally impeach the fuck out of him. Because he's going to lie. Now, the fact that the rally took place outside of the witnesses' homes and involved dozens of participants in critical in determining whether the rally took place with the intent to interfere with, obstruct, or impede the orderly admission of justice. So the fact that the rally took place outside of the witnesses' homes and involved dozens of participants is critical in determining whether such rally took place with the intent to interfere with, obstruct, or impede the orderly admission of justice. That's all that it needs to do right there. The orderly administration of justice. And guess what? Check, check. All right, we'll be calling Aiden Carney and asking if he has any comments to the fact of a couple questions. I'm writing a story, Aiden. Aiden Carney has not shown that GL 268 13B is unconstitutional as applied to him. Aiden Carney is charged under GL 268 13B for his actions related to various broadcasts. So this portion has to do with his broadcasts, his blogs, other protests, and unexpectedly showing up at witnesses' homes, businesses, meetings, and sporting events. And if you were one to know who the fuck Turtleboy was when these witnesses testify, showing his past blogs, showing his past video recordings, hell yeah, you would fucking be intimidated. Dude, this is what this man's about to do to my life. Not only is he going to ruin my reputation, but he could potentially frame me for something because that's what he does. He makes fake accounts and he's going to go out and tell the world like I contacted him or some shit like that. Or that I tried to fuck with his kids. And they already thought that of him before John died. And there's proof of it because John sent Julie Albert something about a blog that he did. And then Julie Albert said, my worst fear is ending up on Turtleboy. And it's like, then, so check this out. Because of Karen Reed's access to John O'Keefe's phone and the Cellbrite dump of his phone, guess who got that material? Aiden. Aiden found out that Julie Albert's biggest fear was to end up on Turtleboy. And so what does he do? He announces that and then he fucking goes after her again. The jury is going to hear all this. And this motherfucker thinks that this jury is going to find him fucking innocent, not guilty. We're going to hear it 16 times, 15 times, whatever the fuck he's being charged with. The fuck we are. No, we're not. No, we're not. He is delusional, and so are his attorneys. And you know who basically calls out his attorneys for not knowing a goddamn thing? Is when they wrote up this mega motion and you're not even citing cases. And I love it that the judge says something like that. Kearney's broadcasts, okay, although he contends that his speech related to these charges did not constitute true threats or fighting words, no one could have a different interpretation. Or one could have a different interpretation. Hell yeah. Kearney's broadcasts include vile threats such as saying that the witnesses do not have a right to live peacefully. That's what he said. That's where he's wrong. And that's even just a wrong statement just to make. If you're going to talk about freedom of speech and that come on. Everybody has a right to live peacefully. Everybody that is innocent until proven guilty has that right. You don't get to take that away. You're not the god of fucking whatever. He's a menace. Moreover, as discussed above, the Commonwealth has a compelling government interest in assuring the administration of justice is fair and orderly. And Section 13B is narrowly tailored to achieve that interest. Aiden Kearney's broadcast, phone calls, voicemails, and unexpected visits to witnesses' homes, businesses, and meetings reflect a pattern of conduct. And not only in this case, but in his entire life. And that's going to be, I'm sorry, but you're going to be able to show that. And that's already Cosgrove said that. We have a lot of material that is prior bad acts. We're going to get into that because it's relevant. And that's why I started the show with Ryan Waters. It's relevant. Now, so it reflects a pattern of conduct done with the intent to influence and interfere with the Karen Reed case. And right here, in fact, Aiden Kearney, these are the examples. The jury influence admits that this is exactly what he is trying to do. See also this, I do not want this to go to trial. Now, he was going to try to spin this any way that he can. Well, clearly I wanted this to go to trial. I'm going to make more money. Or he's like, this shouldn't go to trial. Nobody should have to go through this. This shouldn't go to trial. I don't want this to go to trial. This shouldn't go to trial. Yeah, exactly. And that's what you try to make it so that it didn't, that it would be dismissed. He talks about the jury pool, and then he's in conversation. Do you see what you're doing to these people's reputations? Do you see what you're doing to my jury pool? I mean, Aidan Kearney also urged witnesses to tell the truth during the rally. What do you think that would mean? Implying that what? That they didn't, right? And Aidan Kearney knew that Julie Nagel had testified at the grand jury. That's why Karen Reed was like, do not talk about Julie Nagel, because she testified at the grand jury. But Sarah Levinson was fucking open season. The fuck out of here. Just like Karen Reed deserved a fair trial, right? The witnesses deserve to be free of this shit. Okay. Now, this is where I have to say, this is why you hired Jeffery PYLE. Right here, Aidan Kearney. This is why you hired him. Because Aidan Kearney has not provided the court with any cases that would support his as-applied challenges. Specifically, he has not provided any cases that support the notion of the Commonwealth cannot restrict protected speech or expressive conduct in order to further a compelling government interest. Do you see this right here? This was the judge literally taking a bag of dicks and slapping it across the face of Bradel and fucking Betterow. And nobody wants to talk about this? I wouldn't pay $1 for this shit. I wouldn't pay $1 for that 88 fucking. I would. Here, take a shit on it. It's 88 pages of crying. It's 88 pages of crying woes me's. Unbelievable. But I love it. Look at this shit. For fuck's sake, I love it. Accordingly, Aidan Kearney has not demonstrated to the court that as applied to him, the application of the statutes is unconstitutional. This is all they've been screaming, is that how unconstitutional this is. And I was like, you know what? I want to really dig deep into that. Okay. This is so unconstitutional. Well, if it's so unconstitutional, right? It's just right here. Hey, you know what? I got a little footer here for you. Aidan Kearney has not provided the court with any cases that would support his as-applied challenges. And then specifically, he has not provided any cases that support the notion that the Commonwealth cannot restrict protected speech or expressive conduct in order to further a compelling government interest. Just okay. Now, Jeffrey is not part of the criminal case, but who knows? Maybe he'll get added to it, because somebody needs to be added to that damn team, because they are going to face plant. Okay. Now, Jeffrey gets hired because about, I don't know, 15 days ago. How long has it been now? The House defendants, aka the Commonwealth witnesses, Jennifer McCabe, Colin Albert, Brian Albert, and Brian Higgins, all file suit against Aidan Kearney and Karen Reed. Okay. And it's for defamation. It's 50 pages. And the big thing is that Aidan Kearney's out there calling them murderers, right? He's out there talking about Google searches, and that Jennifer McCabe Google searched House Long to Die in the Cold. Well, now I know why Aidan Kearney was like, Lana's crazy, everybody's crazy. Or Lana's crazy, don't fucking watch any of her shit to do with Jennifer McCabe. Okay. Because why? Because it royally fucks Aidan Kearney's life up. That's why. Okay. I put this out a long time ago. And this is the evidence of Jennifer McCabe's iWatches on the left and her iPhone's on the right. And when Alan Jackson wanted to go ahead and put out this stuff unredacted and put out the exhibits, I took those exhibits. And I was like, I really looked at those exhibits, you know? And everyone's focusing on this "How Long to Die in the Cold" Google search, right? And I'm like, well, let's divide the watch from the iPhone. And so that's what we did. Okay. And now imagine if you actually had, and at the time I did not, if I actually would have had all the video. They have all the video. They have the waterfall video. They have the body or the dash cam. Okay. Well, we get to this little part right here, and I'm just like, dude, Jennifer McCabe could not have made the Google search at that time because Jennifer McCabe parts from her iPhone and it never goes up a flight of stairs. The watch goes up a flight of stairs. She has a watch on her and she goes up a flight of stairs. That phone never goes up a flight of stairs. In fact, it does not go up a flight of stairs for the first time until 5:28 and 27 seconds in the morning, meaning that it stayed on the first floor. And why this is important is because it's like, well, at 2:27, literally Jennifer McCabe could not have made. She's upstairs, the phone's downstairs. And she does not take enough steps. So here's her watch. You see how it stops at 2:23? It does not start back up again until 2:32. So here she's going up a flight of stairs without the phone. The phone stays. And how we know that the phone stays, she's walking around. Okay. There's no steps, no steps. Look at all this. Walking around. And she never goes downstairs because she would have to come back upstairs. And there's no flight of stairs that does that during this time period. The next time that it happens is right here. That's the first flight of stairs registered for the phone. Now, people want to say it's Matt, and I'm trying to sit here and tell you it's not. You want to know how we now know that it's not Matt? You guys, there was a glitch. There is literally a glitch. Okay? And there's going to be people that are going to get exonerated because of this glitch in other cases. Okay? At the end of the day, what I knew was true, because I'm not going to sit here and argue about this glitch. You guys want to argue about that? You want to say it was Matt? I don't give a fuck. But what I know is true is that it wasn't Jennifer McCabe. Jennifer McCabe didn't have her fucking phone. Okay? So you guys can all be on that planet, but guess what? The planet of Aiden Carney going up to that woman and fucking literally asking her all these questions about, how long to die in the cold and blah, blah, blah. Okay? All that shit. My research, he had to give no airspace to because he knew, holy shit, no, we can't talk about this. This can't happen like this because I'm fucked. He's fucked, meaning him, Karen. Why didn't they call, what's his name to the stand? Richard Green to the stand the second go around. Why didn't they call a single digital person to the stand in the second trial for the Karen Reed case? That did no favors for Aiden Carney down the road. Okay. You guys did not dispute in the second trial that the Google search did not happen. Like, you did not dispute that it did not happen 2:27. And in fact, there was that glitch and it did happen at, for the first time at 6. And it was because a different tab was open and they all went through that. Okay. Now, why wouldn't we're gonna see if they're gonna challenge it here in the civil case, but what's your argument and how do you argue the fact that Jen did not make that Google search? I'm showing you facts. This is a fact. This phone does not go upstairs, a flight of stairs, until 5:28 and 27 seconds. That's a fact. Leanna, could she put the phone on airplane mode or shut it off? Would that show up? That would show up in her power down and shit like that. I would need to. What I would be interested to see is if a cell rate, because they're only ever asked just to do what they're asked to do. They were never given, Jennifer McCabe's phone to go through or whatever. It'd be interesting to see Ian Whiffen and the Barnharts go through Jennifer McCabe's phone and do what they did in the Kohlberger case and say what you think happened with this. And was there any forensic cleaning? How about that? That's what you would try to show. Jen 1000% testified to going up the stairs, wearing her watch, and she slept in her watch. Yep. Okay. It's all there, guys. It's all there. I'm just simply saying, don't kill the messenger here. But the evidence, you just have to work it a different way. Okay. And how you work it a different way is like, this is just what the evidence shows. Okay. So then figure it out from that. You just can't make shit up though. Okay. Jennifer McCabe, this is her phone. This is her watch. When you separate the two and you actually look at it, it tells you something very, very important. 2 times. It tells you that she did not have her phone with her when she went up to go to bed. Number 1. Number 2, it tells you that when she was at her sister's house, when she goes up a flight of stairs to go wake up her sister, she did not have her phone with her because the phone doesn't go up a flight of stairs. Okay. And so everybody's been asking, what phone is Carrie Roberts passing off? Well, what I can tell you is that her watch goes up a flight of stairs to go get her sister and her phone doesn't. Okay. Because her phone was being, and then you have to look and see who was being called and contacted right before that. The people are arguing. And I said, what time did Mac truly get there? But who had her phone outside still? Anyways. So when you want to talk about, let's say, defamation and somebody that should have reasonably known something, right? If I'm over here showing and providing Aiden and the whole world with this information to say, hey, there might be a problem there. This whole Google search, the time frame that it happened, Jen McCabe's upstairs and the phone's downstairs. I've been saying this for a while, and it was like, let's just label Lana crazy. Jen absolutely had her phone that night or her watch, because how else would you explain her other testimony right before Googling this? Well, I can explain that very simply. I would follow the evidence. And what the evidence shows me is I never said that Jennifer didn't come downstairs. My claim has always been that I don't think that they've slept in their beds. So just because Jennifer, what you would look at here is between the time frame of, so when she goes upstairs, you look at this, and right here, it's like she falls asleep. Right here at 3:50 and 38 seconds. These 24 steps here. If she was to go downstairs and then get back with her phone, because then when she's waking up, if all that stuff would have happened down, falling asleep on the couch. But what it looks like to me is that there's a potentiality here that she goes upstairs doing whatever, and then she comes back down, which would be at 2:32 to 2:33. Also, there's a potentiality that somebody else was using her phone. It's very simple. But I can promise you this, that cell phone did not go up a flight of fucking stairs. That cell phone would have had to have died. Okay. Right when you have got home, the phone would have died. At a very specific point, the phone would have had to die, or you would have had to shut off the phone in the Cellbrite download would show you this. If you go to the Knowledge C rather, it would have had to die at a very specific point and then been fired up, been able to be plugged in and fired up. But all of those commands would be in the phone. But this phone right here never went up a flight of stairs until 5:28 and 27 seconds. So it doesn't matter what anybody says. I don't care what someone says. I care about the evidence. Okay. So they should look into that. And another thing that's interesting is that if you pay really, really close attention, it's like somebody watched Jen go upstairs and knowing that she was like upstairs and gone. And then somebody went and grabbed her phone and took it and walked 19 steps and sat down and was doing something with her phone on the first level after they saw that she walked up the flight of stairs. Just look into it. At the end of the day, you can't just pick and choose what you want to ignore. You have to take everything and that's just and play the whole loop through. So I would just recommend that. We have no idea what happened with Jen's phone because go listen to the testimony. People were only doing certain things with it. There was only so much testimony because guess what, guys? It's irrelevant because Jennifer McCabe was not on trial. So when people say like, oh, we got into this in the trial 1 and trial 2, no, the fuck we didn't. Okay, stop. Okay, certain things would be irrelevant because Jennifer McCabe's not on trial. And if Alan Jackson would have went a different way and argued it a different way and made things relevant, then maybe had somebody testifying to the fact that Jennifer McCabe's sitting still for 10 straight minutes. But instead, Alan Jackson wanted to go with what she was saying, which was walking back and forth over to the window and looking out, because what that basically gave him in his mind is we have all these witnesses and you're standing right by that and you're going over to the window and you're watching and you don't see my client backing up and hitting her, right? Nobody sees a body. Nobody sees her hitting. Okay. Well, guys, throw all that out the window. That is trial strategy for that case. Now, welcome to the civil case. Okay. And the McCabe's and the Alberts, those 4 people, and Higgins are suing Karen Reed, and Aiden Carney for defamation. And I'm telling you right now, if this goes to trial, they win. They win. Aiden Carney's best way out, and same with Karen Reed, is they have to get this dismissed before it reaches a jury. Okay, it's not going to look good. Sorry, but it's just not. But they better have a lot of shit up their sleeve. Also, Aiden, he's fucked. He's fucked in his criminal case. Anybody that says otherwise is an absolute fucking idiot. Okay, and that's why nobody is covering the cases. Nobody is covering his criminal case because they don't want to say what it is. So nobody's covering it. And when I say nobody's covering it, let me be clear about that. People that are out there that are so supportive of him, okay? Cover his criminal case and do it unbiasedly. Do it based off of this is the situation. With everything that has come out. Legal Swag Atlanta, fan of you, the Turtle, and many others, but you are way out of your legal league here in Mass. You are underestimating everything. What am I underestimating? I would love to know. What part of it? I'm saying you're going to have one hell of a time trying to prove that the absolute the a truth, right, is a very valid defense against defamation. It's where can you prove that it's true that Jennifer McCabe Google searched "house long to die in the cold" at 2:27? Corruption and movement behind the scenes. That's not, but that has nothing to do with legal. It's not legal shit. That's politics. That's the same thing. Aiden's used to that though. That's why you have to start from the beginning of my show. Aiden's used to being corrupt. Aiden's corrupt. Aiden fabricates and manipulates evidence and provides it to the court. He's been doing it his entire life since he had a blog. Maybe she means you guys, there's nothing to underestimate about the laws here. A jury, okay? A jury found Karen Reed guilty of drinking and driving, okay? The jury applied, hey, yeah, you can't do that. Like, here, this is what her blood alcohol level was at, right? So they said guilty, right? Okay, so tell me in this case, when it's like, here are the elements, in Turtleboy's criminal case, they're definitely going to beat the elements. And so you're going to tell me that a jury's going to go back there and say, not guilty on everything. That's just not how it works. With politics, it doesn't work that way. What they'll do is they'll say, maybe we'll say not guilty on a couple of these, but we're going to go ahead and say guilty on a couple of these because the jurors don't understand the implications of like, well, one, you being found guilty of just one of these things it carries up to a potential of 20 years in prison. And he thinks he's going to jail. And it's funny because that's not what's on the line here. You're not going to jail. Nobody's going to jail. It's either prison, could be probation, it could be nothing. Well, what argument will Aiden make to this? Is he going with he truly believes those people are guilty in his mind? Well, I think that's where I was headed with this whole thing of he's going to say, well, Richard Green put out a report. Okay. Richard Green put out a report. He's an expert. And that's what I used. Okay. Then he hears argument to it. And then there's this. Okay. Before Richard Green's report, was he calling them murderers? I don't think so. Right. Richard Green's report doesn't mean that anybody murdered anybody. That's why I think it's going to be interesting. If Turtleboy believes in Richard Green so much, why doesn't Turtleboy have Richard Green testify at his trial? Wouldn't you call Richard Green to the stand? If I was Turtleboy, wouldn't I be calling Richard Green to the stand in my criminal case? Also, just because Turtleboy thinks whatever he thinks, right? He also knows, because they're going to show how he knows what witness intimidation is. He knows that he can't do X, Y, and Z. They're going to use his past situations to show that he's no stranger to this. Okay. Even though he liked to claim to Andrea Burkhart on a live that he is like a stranger to all of this, he flat out lied to Andrea Burkhart to her face in an interview. He knows everything about this. This is his witness intimidation is what he's doing. That's been his MO. Wiretapping, all this shit that he's done it. He knows what he's doing. He knows that it's against the law. He knows how the Massachusetts courts are with it. How about this? How about this one? Ready? Why would Turtleboy have to lie and hide the fact that he ever talked to Karen Reed and her defense attorneys? You can talk and do whatever you want and interview whoever you want and call whoever you want. And as a journalist, right, I would expect nothing less to try to call, reach out, and get comment. The moment that I saw that he was so hardcore denying that he ever talked to them and putting it on other people that gave him the information, you should wonder why. Don't you think that the investigation itself would warrant Karen Reed to be found not guilty because the investigation is so flawed? It's my opinion that the investigation is so flawed that nobody can be found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt for this crime. And who do you have to blame for that, right? The investigators. And that's where it should stay. Because it's nobody's business. It is actually people's business. Let me tell you why and when it becomes people's business. When you have a crowd fundraiser and it raised $1 million, you're asking for money, right? Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you what Bob won't answer. And I straight up laid it out to him black and white, which is, Bob, you know what misconduct is. Okay. And this is very simple. Aiden Carney was not the supplier of the information to the defense about a federal investigation. The supplier of that information came from the defense to Aiden Carney, and then Aiden Carney wrote a blog about it, and then the defense team used the blog in a motion and in a courtroom to say that, wait, we heard about this from the media. We heard about this from the media. We heard about the federal investigation from the media. And then they cite Turtleboy's blog. Do you know what that's called? You guys wonder why Bev didn't give Karen Reed any calls after that? Well, because of that. But it wasn't until Aiden Carney comes out and tells the world what a genius Alan Jackson is, just about a month or two ago, when he says, Alan Jackson, what a genius. He supplied me with, I got the information about the federal investigation from them, but I wrote up the blog and then they used and said that I gave that to them. And he's over here bragging and saying that that's genius. No, that's called misconduct. That's violation of candor to the tribunal. That's grounds for sanctions. That's grounds to get your ass the fuck kicked off of that case and potentially down the road stuff to happen to you. That's what that is. And guess who? So all they had was speculation that the defense team was Aiden Carney's source for that. Until Aiden Carney comes out years later here, just a couple months ago, because it was something that happened in 2023 in August. And he outs the fact that it's exactly how it went down. So it's no longer speculation. It was Tully could not write that in the search warrant for Karen Reed's phone. All he could put is the circumstances surrounding it. See, and this is okay. And then this is the response that I get from everybody. I'm more concerned with no. Answer my question. If you want to have a debate about something, we're talking about clean hands. Okay. I donated to Karen Reed stuff. Alan Jackson, the defense team, everything they were up against, right? Awesome. Until you start seeing that, wait a second, we were lied to. I don't appreciate being lied to. Aiden Carney didn't dig up anything. Aiden Carney was handed Karen Reed's narrative. This is what I need out there. And that's right out of his book. If you want your story out there, you come to Turtleboy and we'll tell your story for you. And you can stay anonymous. Not we're going to investigate your case. Not we're going to be, if you're an independent journalist, you would take every and all of your sources that you possibly could, and then you would vet them and weigh them all out on how you'd want to interpret that into, and how you're going to then present the story to your listeners and viewers independently. But that's not what Turtleboy is. He wants to claim that he's an independent journalist, but he's not an independent journalist by any stretch of the margin. In fact, I went over and I pulled these out. The Lindsay Gaetani grand jury testimony. I went back and pulled that out. There's little new nuggets in there, but I'm more concerned with a factually innocent woman being railroaded. I believe that Karen Reed was railroaded, regardless of innocence or guilt. She was 1,000% railroaded. But that's my issue with police across the board. They're using evidence that truly doesn't state, like they're taking evidence that isn't there and making it something. And I believe in this case, well, they're claiming that not only that, but there's a lot of planning of stuff. You're tweaking when you towed a car. But when you want to talk about where Turtleboy's role in all of this was, it was to push the narrative. And guess what? The narrative that they actually went with, all right, it's just not accurate because the evidence doesn't support it. The evidence does not support that Jennifer McCabe Google searched how long to die in the cold at 2:27 because Jennifer McCabe was upstairs and her phone fucking was downstairs. That's what it looks like with the digital evidence. Do you not think it's unethical and misconduct for the Commonwealth to hide evidence, lie about a federal grand jury happening? Is that not grounds for sanctions? Who lied about a federal grand jury happening? How would the Commonwealth know about a federal grand jury? Who's lying and hiding that, though? What do you want the Commonwealth to do? Come out and tell Bev that there's a federal grand jury being, like, what do you mean? What was a huge deal? How did the feds get involved? How did the feds get involved in this case? Why hasn't there been one arrest? Nobody committed any crimes here? They had no problem figuring it out with Sandra Birchmore. Tully lied, all this stuff. No one's disputing any of that. That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying is this: you don't beat corruption with corruption. You understand that? And if you don't get that, that's fine. But that's the facts. Because then you're no better. You're no fucking better. And the only person that gets any grace here is Karen Reed. Because guess what? When your life is on the line and someone's doing that to you, yeah, you roll up your fucking sleeves and you're going to get your hands dirty, right? But lawyers shouldn't be doing that, regardless of what side you're on. can I email you the facts you don't have here and are leaving out? I do everything off of a timeline. We don't have any of the grand jury minutes from anything because they're sealed. So if you have grand jury minutes, I wouldn't be announcing that. Yeah, that's when you get Ratchet. That's why Ratchet was hit up. Okay. Listen, you guys, it's very, very important to understand this. When Turtleboy made an announcement that he was going to write on this case in his Facebook group, people reached out to him, such as Chris Albert. Okay. Wouldn't you want Chris Albert as a source to even like just talk to get, hey, whatever he's going to give you, you would take just as an investigative journalist? The fuck you would. You'd want to get as much as you can from everybody so that you have all this information and then you vet it and then you would write your piece. But that's not what this was. Turtleboy wasn't in it to write an investigative piece. Turtleboy, what the evidence shows is that Turtleboy had no interest in writing an investigative piece. His interests are only in, and he fucking writes it in his book and he tells you what he does. Thank you. I would love it. Thank you, Jen. I will take whatever information you have and be happy to look it over. It's very, very obvious here. Okay. He was not, this wasn't I uncovered the Karen Reed case and then I started digging and doing FOIAs and no, you guys. How did Turtleboy miss the biggest piece? Sarah Livingston said that Brian Higgins was at the house before they went to the left to go to the bars. How does that get missed in all of it? Well, I'll tell you how. Because that wasn't the purpose of what Turtleboy was there to do. Literally, Sarah Livingston gave you all gold. Gold. And you're just too busy let's find out where she works and put that out on the internet. Fucking dumb. But that's what you get. This is what happens when you do stupid shit. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. You're going to fucking prison. And here we go. Go buy his book. This is what he does. When I was asked on the Dennis and Callahan, they asked me how we're able to get information that the rest of the media can't get. The answer is simple. Anonymity. Anonymity. We have a solid reputation in the community as the voice of the people. Anonymity. Yes, no, send it. Jen, I appreciate you too. I appreciate you too. But it all has to start from the beginning. And I promise you, I've been a very big advocate of Karen Reed being railroaded. And that would be by the investigators. Okay? The investigators didn't do their jobs. Why aren't you just attacking the investigation? The investigation. And then using all of the House defendants to actually prove your point, which is none of y'all motherfuckers saw him on the lawn, right? You were walking over to the window. You didn't see him hit it, right? Why would you try to discredit them? Instead, hey, right? There's tons of ways to skin a cat, they say. This is the way that they chose to go. How on earth do you remember all of this, Lana? I know, right? Take a look at this, though. All right. This is what he does. But he's promised people anonymity, right? What has he done? Karen Reed, after the acquittal, is still battling the fact that, hey, you're Turtleboy, you want to go do all of these things? Do you not even know what the witness intimidation statute is? Do you not even know what if there could be kickbacks for you after the fact and people thought that? You want us to go and make a $500,000 or $1 million a piece to go on this 6-week tour? Are you out of your fucking mind? So take a look at this. But this is who Turtleboy is. This is his book. This is what he tells you. If you have a story that you think needs to be told, and you either don't want the attention that comes along with it, or you don't have the reach that we have, then we can come, meaning you, they can then come to Turtleboy and we will tell your story for you. Your story. Your story. And I just think it's interesting that nobody wants to consider the fact that maybe the people inside of the house and maybe Karen Reed didn't kill John O'Keefe and maybe somebody else did. Why can't that possibly be true? If Karen Reed does not know where she was drunk, she does not know where she's never been at 34 Fairview before. Why is it impossible that actually Karen Reed and John, where they first went, wasn't 34 Fairview? And so, but Karen doesn't know that. Karen thinks they're at 34 Fairview. Then John gets out of the car. Where his steps start walking is over there on Hog Heaven, which is Oakdale, which is right where Lank lives, and that other cop that has the canine dog. Okay. What the fuck, people? Please think about it. And then guess what? They knew that the plan was for them to go to the McAlbert's house, right? And hey, somebody's like, we're going to fucking put his ass over there. So I just think it's really, really important to say maybe there was a big misstep here, because the people that would, and then if those were Canton cops, well, look at what the fuck Canton did in this situation. How about that? What does it look like? Who's coming? And I'm just saying, for as crazy as this case is, maybe we need to take just start back from the beginning and take a look. And what did those Canton cops really do in when they got to the scene? And why does Sean Good leave his dash cam on and then tell those guys to go do a wellness check when Karen Reed's vehicle was just left alone? I'm saying just there could be some things that were missed, and it's just like why they were missed is because it wasn't investigated. And the defense team, hey, you can miss things. Okay. I think it's interesting that at the time frame that what's his name, it just, there's a lot of things that are out there that are very, very interesting, and that there's no answer for them. And sometimes maybe the answer isn't what you think, and it could be something that it's another plausibility, and then it wasn't ruled out. But Turtleboy's never the fucking answer. His behavior, it's never the answer. And Karen Reed, I guarantee you she fucking knows that right now. Because I don't believe that Karen Reed's a free woman because of Turtleboy. Turtleboy did nothing inside that courtroom that those jurors saw to say not guilty. Okay? What happened inside that courtroom was clear as day, right? In the second trial, they go away from what? The whole big conspiracy with all the fucking witnesses, and they just go with the fact that what? This investigation was shit. There was no investigation. And trust me, it did not help the House defendants that the cops didn't do their job, because then it left them susceptible to what the fuck has happened as well. And I just think that if everybody just breathes and take a step back, that you can honestly say that you can say, if you take a step back, you could say, wait a second. It wasn't the witnesses that were like, hey, don't record me. Hey, don't have me down at the station. And the cops were just like, yeah, that's a great idea, right? Because Just maybe there's a different answer. And nobody would know because if it's true or not, because nobody looked at it. You guys, that berm over there at 34 Fairview, that curb that's right when you would get out of a vehicle over there, there's other streets that have that, but that's a nasty little thing. And it's all like scraped up. Like when we went by there, I'll have to pull out my old footage. And when people are drunk and could like trip over it, fall back. I mean, but the answer is not what Turtleboy did. And there's reasons we have laws against it. But Karen Reed is not free because of Turtleboy. Karen Reed is free, and she should be, because her lawyers were able to show the jury that the Commonwealth could not get over their burden of beyond a reasonable doubt, because there's so much doubt. There is even a doubt, what if he was even hit by a car, right? The big murder weapon, right? Like hey, even they were even able to overcome that, even though his phone literally stopped moving in the pocket state. That's like, for them to be able to do that with his phone never moving again at that time, in which would appear that they're trying to say like right when Karen Reed, is leaving. In a lot of cases, that, I mean, come on, those are pretty big circumstantial situations. I said, well, to me, not if you actually look at the fact that if John actually got out of Karen Reed's car at a different location, and then Karen Reed drives off, right? Because what story is it? Is it Karen Reed didn't stick around for that long? Is it Karen Reed was like, I'm just dropping him and I'm not staying and I'm leaving because I'm hungry, I have to pee, my stomach hurts, whatever all this shit is? Like, what story is it? What version are we getting? But that pocket state has always been interesting to me, because if you put that phone, let's say that Karen didn't realize that she even had John's phone in the car. Because what I realized is that ever since he got in that car and after he talked to Jen for that last time, 12/18, he never responded to any single text message that he ever got. Right? It was someone just opening and closing, except the 12:29 call. And that was answered. And that was Jen calling. And she said that it was a butt dial. Well, what I always thought it could potentially be is that it was a call that was answered actually by Karen Reed, not realizing that when she had drove off and left, that his phone was still in that car. Okay? Because if you go and you look at how the John's Wi-Fi like explodes and expands, and then for like a period of time, and then it comes back in. And so I thought it was interesting because you were looking at the library camera footage to see if you could see anything like around 12:29. And there is an SUV, but it's like when you're dealing with somebody that had been drinking and they weren't drunk and they actually remember everything. It's like, here, then this is exactly how this played out. Boom, 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 right? But it just seems like we're not able to get that from the witness for whatever reason, meaning Karen. That doesn't mean that she's guilty. It just means that, okay, set aside anything that she would have to say and let's just go off of the evidence. And the evidence should say not guilty. It should say not guilty for every single person, though, because they didn't do their job as investigators. And maybe it's because it wasn't because of the House defendants. Maybe it was because of some other Canton cops. Who knows? We won't know because there was just no investigation. His phone was found under him, though. Well, we don't even know if that's true. it was a very traumatic experience for everybody that morning. At the end of the day, I don't think anybody should be lying to grand juries. I don't think anybody should be lying, period. I think that cops should do their jobs. I think that investigators should do their jobs. I think the district attorneys should do their jobs. And I think that the Sandra Birchmore case, to me, is the best thing that came out of the Karen Reed case. Okay? Sandra Birchmore she did not kill herself. And if there's a reason to strongly, were the House defendants involved in that case? No. It was who? The police. Okay? The police that were involved in Sandra Birchmore and covering up that fake suicide. The police. So why can't it be the same thing with the House defense or for the Karen Reed case? Why couldn't it just all be the police here? I think that the police, that's the big problem. The district attorney's office, right? That wouldn't, I mean, I didn't say that she made it all the way back with his phone, just so we're clear. I never said that. I said what seems to me is that somehow John's phone got tossed to somebody that was standing right outside of, if you guys want to say that they were truly at 34 Fairview, okay, here, I have John's phone. Fuck you people, fuck you, and toss it, let's say, to Higgins, or toss it to somebody that said, okay, here, he's your problem now, bring him home. And then Higgins standing right there, I don't know, puts it in, like I said, the glove compartment or the middle console, which would then click, boom, now it's in a pocket state because it's dark. Once it would come out of a pocket state, it has to come out of that being from a dark to light. That's how they do it. And so I've just thought about that. I'm saying, is there a way to explain the pocket state other than what it is? By meaning, you're saying he was laying on top of it. Are you sure? Because guess what? When the car's driving around, it's not going to collect any steps. Okay. Or if it just sat there in the cold and that's why it's just going down. But then all of a sudden from 1 to 6, there's no data being able to be got on John's phone. That is an anomaly that truly needs to be explained. The bottom line is that at the end of the day, should Turtleboy have done what he did? Is it against the law, right? So he's going to have to deal with that criminal aspect of it. And now he's being sued by people. And I can just tell you that there is no way in hell, if you're in the footsteps of Colin Albert, Jen McCabe, Brian Higgins, Brian Albert, you can sit here and you can say that what Turtleboy did not destroy your life. And that you wouldn't have grounds to sue him. And that if there's ever grounds for a defamation case, how would this not be that case? You guys, when I hear Melanie Little talk about the fact that about the way that, when you think about witness intimidation, it's like somebody, takes a gun and takes you outside and puts it to your head and says, I'm going to fucking blow your brains out if you fucking do this shit. And I'm like, Melanie, do you know what year we live in? The internet wasn't even around back then when that shit was happening. The biggest weapon that we have and I believe in the country and in the world is the internet. The way that you can weaponize the internet is absolutely insanity. It's just insane. And that's a weapon. Turtleboy knows that his blog and his platform, you can weaponize it. Why in the world would you ever sue and bring on a civil litigation against Karen Reed and Turtleboy if you're those four and you fucking killed the man? And that you're going to just open up. Do you know what you do And do you know how you open yourself up when you go and you get involved with civil litigation? It's not criminal where the scope and hey, no, we can't get into that. No, it's the discovery. You're gonna be able to get so everything. That's why in the Dan Moore case with Brian Drake and Dan Moore and that chiropractic shit, and then the whole civil case. You guys, that would be the dumbest thing you could ever do, especially if you're like, hey, you got away with murder. You might not want to do this. Okay. Think about that. And then all for what? What does Turtleboy have? Maybe the House defendants / Commonwealth witnesses want their life back. Dan Moore wanted to sue Jennifer Drake because he wanted his reputation back. He wanted to show and prove that that bitch is crazy. And in the process of it, I can probably really kind of show you who actually maybe was involved in his murder after all. But it's not Turtleboy's place to think that he's the judge and jury of Jennifer McCabe, of Brian Albert, of Brian Higgins, and of Colin Albert. Not to mention the other fucking people. Because I'm sorry, but I cannot believe that Sarah Levinson and Julie Nagel have not sued him. Unfucking believable. You don't get to go do the shit that he did. You don't. Like, who the fuck is he? Who is he? Is he above the law? Do you guys think the cops are above the law? I sure the fuck don't. But for Turtleboy to try to come out here and say that he was framed like how Karen Reed was framed is a fucking joke. He wasn't framed like Karen Reed was framed. He wants to be Karen Reed so fucking bad. I've never met a guy that wants to be a girl more than Turtleboy. He wants the tits and the vag because he is a whiny little bitch, man. Jesus. His bus stop lives, I swear he lives for those every morning just so he can fucking be one of the girls smoking cigarettes and having coffee, and shooting the shit on the phone. That man, I can't even call him that. That errand boy is pathetic as fuck. There's no place for what the fuck. He's a ratchet. He wants to act like Jerry Springer. Go do that shit. You're not going to come around destroying people's lives. Okay. And if you think that fucking Jennifer McCabe and all these people are so goddamn guilty, then prove it. Go show all the shit that you can think that you can prove beyond a reasonable doubt that they're fucking guilty of murder. But I'm going to sit here and tell you that you can't because they have the same arguments that fucking Karen would have. That the investigation is shit. No. Aiden Carney does not own Massachusetts. Aiden Carney does not get to just go out and do whatever the fuck he wants. And Aiden Carney pressed on the way that he did because he felt like he had the backing of Alan Jackson, Yannetti, and that he was untouchable because they were supportive of him. And if you don't think that that's going to somehow leak its way out when he takes the stand, it is. Why do you think he feels like he's so owed? Why do you think he went ham? Because Karen Reed didn't want to go doing these interviews and these little traveling whore tour Wilbur shit. Because that was part of the plan. Okay. And it's like, well, what the fuck? You're not keeping your end of the bargain. Well, the plan for what? He's an idiot. He's the most impatient person ever. He doesn't even know what's good for himself or his freedom. Hey, just chill out. We can go do this. Like Making a Murderer came out how long later? Like, he's just an idiot. He's an absolute fucking moron. And why you would ever get in the ring and have him ever as like, for no way. I would rather have any of the House defendants and or Commonwealth witnesses to go on and to do name the project. I would never pick Aiden Carney to do a goddamn thing with myself. I would pick any of those Commonwealth witnesses every day of the week over to do anything with Aiden Carney. That man is a fucking liability. A fucking liability. And he will set you up as your own partner for something that he's going to go do strategically. It's fucking insane. Loyalty, trustworthy? Absolutely not. So I question what the fuck was her defense team. Did they not do their homework? Or did they just not know how far he was willing to go to fucking blow this whole thing up and to put Karen Reed and the attorneys in the most fucking, I'm sorry, but you can advocate for your client who you think is innocent, but no defense attorney is going to go and do the fucking shit that they went and did by giving the federal case information to Aiden. Here, you type this up, then we're going to use your blog as to say that's how we found out about it. That's wild. Alan Jackson, do you need to do that? Like, David Yannetti, you need to do that? That's so unethical. That just gets you sanctioned. That shit can get you, that you can lose your license for that shit. No one's license is worth that, right? Like I said, ask yourself a question. And do you think that Karen Reed should be found innocent because, or I should say not guilty because of the investigation, what you saw in that courtroom? Okay. Or ask yourself why Turtleboy pled the fifth. But he's going to go ahead and testify in his own case, but he pled the fifth in Karen Reed's case. Ask yourself that. Why the fuck did Turtleboy plead the fifth? But yet he's coming out, he's saying, I'm going to testify in my own case. Not a single person pled the fifth on a single question in either of Karen Reed's trials, except for Turtleboy. Like, when you just think about these things, there's no answer for them. Okay. Yes, and he has that right to plead the fifth. He has a competing interest. He's facing X, Y, and Z. Absolutely, plead the fifth. But then when you find out he's going to testify in his own case, it's like, okay. But you wouldn't. What questions could be possibly posed to you that you did not want to face? That you were arrested for witness intimidation? I'm not judging him for it. I said, think about it. I said, think about the fact that he wanted to plead the fifth in the Karen Reed case. As a defendant, you're not pleading the fifth, more or less. You have the right to remain silent. They're not allowed to call you. Okay. But that's totally different. Like, of course, I'm talking, this is not Aiden Carney's case. He wants to plead the fifth because he said he has a competing interest, which he does have. Okay. And so, but all of these people allegedly are under investigation, supposedly in a federal investigation. So I want to plead the fifth. I want to plead everybody should have been pleading the fifth. All those witnesses, right? Because there's some federal investigation out there and I don't feel comfortable now testifying because I have no idea what the fuck is going on. And I'll be damned if I somehow get strung up in this shit. So I'm not testifying. Everybody starts saying that. Is that maybe what the plan was? Judging. Who's judging anything? This is a fact. Aiden Carney pled the fifth. Why did he plead the fifth? And now he's going to turn around and testify at his own trial. What was going to be asked of him that he didn't want to answer? Yes, I was arrested for this, this, and this. What are they going to say? Objection relevance? Do you think it's relevant that somebody was arrested for what he was arrested for in this case? It would be malpractice for any lawyer to allow their client to testify. I think he is brazen enough to at least testify if he didn't have lawyers. Oh, he's testifying for in his. It's almost like he has to now. Okay. But he says he's testifying, right, in his case, which he almost has to because of the way that the case is designed. It's his YouTube presentations, right, that are going to be shown. And if he's going to try to spin what the intention was, who can, otherwise you're going to see it for yourself, unless they're going to try to say, hey, on cross-examination, we're going to play more to the clip before whatever he said and after whatever he said. It's no different than what they did with Karen Reed, you guys. Karen Reed's clips were used, her interviews. Karen Reed didn't take the stand, though. Right? Why? Because Karen Reed didn't have to take the stand. But why? Karen Reed didn't feel compelled that she had to fucking answer to those clips. Why? Because the evidence. Doesn't matter what Karen Reed says, right? The evidence that they put forward in their own case, and then what they used in cross-examination, like what we just talked about, the burden. Nobody knows anything that happened in this case because there was no investigation that was done. Now, that is not the same as Turtleboy's case. Turtleboy's case is, this is what you were arrested for, X, Y, and Z. Here's why we arrested you. These are the things that you were doing. You went to Jennifer McCabe's game. You did this, you did that. You know, you're going all through all the fucking shit, right? You're having people run plates for you. Okay? So let them all play all that. The jury's going to see it for what it is. Not only are you going to be playing that, now put the witness that's going to be in the chair is going to be, there's Colin up there, there's Julie Albert up there, Julie Nagel, all these people that are the victims of what he did. How are you notified about this? What did this, when you saw this, what did you do? What happened? How'd your life, how was your life before the case? How was your life after the case? What did this do to you? How did this make you feel? Did you contact the authorities? Like, what did you do? Right? And so then Bradel and Betterow are going to get up there and do cross-examination of each of these witnesses. Right? Try to poke holes at the fact that they weren't scared or whatever the fuck they're going to try to poke holes at, right? That's what they're going to do. Yeah, the victims of Turtleboy's witness intimidation. His motion to dismiss is, is it 514 now? I thought it was 527, 514, even better. Next week, perfect. Awesome. I don't agree. You're happy not to agree. Okay. The statute is a statute. He knows the statute. He is known for a while what the statute is because of his prior dealings with it. And so what I always thought was that he had no idea that any of this existed. that he got himself into some fucked up shit. That's what I always thought. And then when you actually look into it, it's like, no, this man has been doing this shit for years. For years. Oh, yeah, Josie's on a vacation far away. Aiden should have been stopped long before the Karen. Thank you, 1000%. Should have. We should look into the cops that were actually looking into the cases that were brought before it. Turtleboy is an abrasive person, just like every typical Democrat in Massachusetts. Turtleboy was tipped off about Karen Reed being railroaded by the system, but a police officer of Jockey. He's going to tell you that he's not a Democrat. He's going to tell you he will take offense to that. Okay. Turtleboy is just, you guys, he's Jerry Springer. Okay. Can you imagine Jerry Springer going and covering and being involved with a massive case? Like what he covers is absolutely crazy. And then goes and does this in a huge Boston cops murder case. Brings the ratchet. He turned a Boston cops murder case into Ratchetville. You don't understand. Like, that's exactly what happened here. Everybody became a ratchet. He's having ratchet madness. Okay. He wants to talk about the people in the pink that were out there tailgating. What the fuck were you out there doing? You made it into a fucking white trash fucking Billy Bash, you dumbass. And for the rest of all eternity here, this case is always going to have an asterisk next to it. Okay. And everyone's going to go around saying that Karen Reed only got off because of this shit, you know? But if you think that what Turtleboy has done is okay, then let us come to your soccer kids game and let us act like a total watch what we'll do. You understand that? The kids aren't off limits for him. Families aren't off limits. Witnesses aren't off limits. And that's exactly what the statute says that are off limits. Yeah, no. He tries to find the weakest link and tries to go at you. Jerry Springer was not this cringe. I know, right? Because at least he had those awesome like final thoughts. Final thoughts by Jerry. You don't have to like him. He's a satire show like Howard Stern. No, he's not. He thinks that he is. He's fucking not. Because guess what? When Howard Stern hits the stop button, he stops. Play button, he's on air. When Howard Stern presses the record button and then when he hits stop, it's done. That's the difference. Howard Stern ain't going real life. Howard Stern ain't showing up at your fucking kid's game, helicoptering his dick around town. He's not showing up at people's pizza places and telling people why, like accosting people that are buying the pizza, talking about what it's a murdered pizza shop and it was blood. What the fuck he's saying? Like, it's insane. Give me a break. You can think that the House defendants are guilty all you want, but you cannot go ahead and defend this absolute lawless behavior. Sorry. It's a fucking pussy too. He's a fucking cop calling pussy bitch. But then when someone calls the cops on him, fucking whiny. Jesus Christ. Oh, yes, it's happening. Oh, yes. No, because you guys, it didn't. This is all answered. This is so easy. Lana, real talk though, does it not raise red flags or bother you that the cops who arrested Turtleboy are the same cops he's speaking out on and calling corrupt? No, that's the thing, is that he wasn't. Michael Proctor had nothing to do with that, with his arrest. Nobody needed a cop didn't even need to do anything. There was no gathering of evidence. This isn't a murder case. Turtleboy just did what he did. He recorded everything that he did. Okay. There was no investigation needed. It doesn't matter who was to say, hey, why don't you look at this man's YouTube channel? This has to be illegal. Or these witnesses are going to the police. I mean, there's no room to, there's no fabricating anything. There's no making shit up. It's his channel, his actions. He recorded it all. And then the question's going to be up to the jury is this, are you finding him guilty or not guilty? Did he commit witness intimidation? Did he do this? Did he do this? Yes or no? I have no issues with the fact because there was no investigation involved. There's nothing to investigate. He decided to record himself. Okay. There's nothing there. He wasn't calling out Tully until he got arrested. He didn't even know Tully's name. Go look at his shit, man. First time that Turtleboy even knew who Brian Tully was after he was arrested. And then he wants to talk about him. Okay. It's just the facts. The facts are, here you go. Is this witness intimidation or is it not? Do you think that this should go on? And he would be found not guilty of any of this if none of these people were witnesses in a case. But they're witnesses in a case. That's why he's being charged. And he was provided that information because of Karen Reed. He knew who these witnesses were, right? Because his biggest thing is, look at them. Look at, nobody wants to say their names. I'm saying their names. What? I'm telling you that it's not just Brian Albert's sister-in-law or, it's Jennifer McCabe. It's just and I'm sorry, I don't think that Sarah Levinson knew that these people that you think are, and I believe are corrupt, like the people in the Sandra Birchmore case. Same thing. There was Canton cops there. I think one of them was Kevin Albert. Look into that. But I don't believe that they were like, hey, Sarah Levinson, come here. Let us tell you what the fuck we just did. Okay. These dudes aren't doing that. They're not involving these type of people into their, they're just not. And so, no, I don't think that Sarah Levinson knew anything that was going on. I think that they were all fucking hammered. And, yeah. Richard Green wasn't called because it wasn't a third-party culprit defense. Also, his mannerisms and partial deafness made it into the jury. Yeah, no, they never renewed the third-party culprit even at trial, though, the first go around. You guys know that too, right? Anyways, why doesn't Turtleboy? I'll be shocked if Turtleboy doesn't call Richard Green to the stand in his criminal case. I mean, in his civil case, rather. And all I know is we'll all be entertained, right? Entertainment, right? Every day, Turtleboy just talks in circles. I think the biggest advantage that the House defendants / Commonwealth witnesses have, they never came out and spoke out at all. And that's going to be a huge, give them so much credit for never coming out and getting into these fucking back and forth shit with him. Because then it'd be you guys are just doing this to each other. There's none of that. None of that's happening. Colin Albert did not go back to school and did not play football. Why? Well, he's going to testify to that. Is it the truth? Is the jury going to believe it? Well, fuck, he showed up at Allie McCabe's or her sister's shit and did all that. And then he's got to deal with all of his football teammates absolutely. This is sick. I can't call Turtleboy because he lives in Massachusetts. I can't call him on a live anyways, unless I say live to tape. So if you have his phone number, go ahead and email it to me. But we'll call him live to tape. I have to tell him that because I'm in a one-party state, but he's in a two-party state. It doesn't matter. That's the other thing that what's wrong with you people in Massachusetts? For the record, you guys, it doesn't matter if I'm in a one-party state and they're in a two-party state. If you're talking to anybody that is in a two-party consent state, that's what governs it. So I have no fucking clue why people are like, oh, I'm going to lie and say I was in Rhode Island and therefore like I didn't wiretap. Bitch, what the fuck are you talking about? You cannot tape and record people. It doesn't matter where you're located. Dumbasses. Fucking A, man. Listen to that shit. I'm like, what is wrong with these people? And guess what? Lawyers aren't correcting these idiots because they want to continue to make money off of you guys. I just laugh. But he let TV stop him. What the fuck? He let TV stop him. What's wrong with you? How would you like it if someone just took your profile picture right now and just literally destroyed it, found out who the fuck you were, did all this crazy shit to you? I bet you would stop going to fucking Pilates if somebody pulled up and just started using a microphone talking about all the people that you were sucking their dicks and shit. How about that? I guess you just don't get it. Yet you guys are the biggest crybabies out there. Fuck out of here. Let's see. Is he off of his bus stop live? I have to call my friends. My friends who have Turtleboy's number. I'd get off the internet. Who's getting off the internet? Has nothing to do with the internet. Someone shows up to your fucking workplace. So you work on the internet? You playing football on the internet? You going to school on the internet? Yep. It said it should be started at 11:30. I'm starting at 11:30. He should be at 11:30. Well, I don't know what he's talking about, his vagina. And he has to fucking shave it or some shit like that. He's probably putting together a lawnmower. So we're gonna ask Turtleboy. I just have one question. What's my slot on what is it, May 17th? What slot do I have on May 17th? What slot am I on the fundraiser? What slot do I get? Okay. Hey, Turtleboy, it's Lana. I'm live to tape. What's up? Well, there you have it. Unlike him, I won't call him back. What a pussy. Well, I tried to see if I could play May 17th. That was my question. What time's my slot at? I guess he didn't want any of that. So there you go. May 17th, 2026. I was calling to see what time my slot was at. for the 12-hour fundraiser. There you go. Okay, that was my intention. I announced that my intention was that. And he hung up. There you have it, folks. No, he didn't. He didn't steal my content. He lied under oath. Turtleboy lied under oath and said that that was Meredith who put out his grand jury minutes. I mean, he just was a liar. But there you have it, folks. I mean, I can't. I just wanted to ask him what time my slot was on May 17th, 2026 for the 12-hour fundraiser. So I can bring over our people so we can debate his case, but he refuses to debate his case. Unlike him, I will debate anybody, anywhere, anytime. We can be respectful, and it's a healthy, like, disagreeing is not the end of the world, people. Okay. But there you have it, the Turtle Riders. Your cult leader, as he calls himself, I think, is a one giant pussy. See you on the next one.